The Oklahoma City Thunder lose Isaiah Hartenstein for at least a week. Where do the Thunder go from here? What does that week ahead look like, and how does it impact tonight's Cavs game? Plus, we're going to do our midseason grades.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member, and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're diving into the Oklahoma City Thunder having big injury news with Isaiah Hartenstein going down. We're also diving into the Thunder season that has been to this point, a midseason player grade, and what the schedule looks like whenever Hartenstein could be, of course, out. We're talking about today's show brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs is better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, win or lose, by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. Again, thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. Well, the Thunder released a injury update regarding this roster, and it was not a good one. It was not a good one at all. Isaiah Hartenstein is set to be reevaluated in 1 week. So when you look at this, first and foremost, this is a reevaluation date. That's not a guarantee return. Ideally, that would be the return. But when you look at the injury, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce because for some reason, I'm sure there's some league rule, but the Thunder always put these injuries in the most complex form that my peanut brain cannot understand. So I got to go type into the Google machine, what does a left psoas strain mean? And the Google machine puts it in layman's terms or podcaster terms as a stretch or strain in the calf. So one can imagine, and again, I'm no doctor, I did not stay at Best Western last night. One can imagine this was what we would call a soft tissue injury in the biz. And those things can get tricky. Now, obviously, it could be perfect. You could reevaluate him in a week from now on Wednesday and say he's good to go. But I just would hesitate to assume that that's what's going to happen here. That's all I'll say. That's just a complete guess, but I would hesitate to assume that that's what's going to happen here. What we do know is that Hartenstein is for sure out tonight against Cleveland. He's out on Friday against Dallas. He's out on Sunday against the Brooklyn Nets. And you would imagine he's also out Wednesday against Utah, just based upon his reevaluation date isn't until Wednesday, based upon this release. Now, that being said, in the here and now, this obviously is a devastating injury because it takes what has been a propped up matchup, what the NBA has invested in. I mean, if you thought the marketing last week was overboard, right? They're sending out emails, they're sending out tweets, they're hyping up the rematch. Well, the rematch is in name only. This is a far cry from what these two teams will be when it's all said and done. And for that part in a vacuum, that sucks. Like, it sucks that we were never going to see these two teams play even close to 100% this season because of the nature of the Chet's injury. But now we're like at a 1 percentile look at the Thunder, and even the Cavs could be without Ty Jerome, who obviously was pivotal in their close win last week, as he's dealing with an illness. He's questionable. He could play, he could not. We'll see what Kenny says prior to this game. But clearly, this will not be indicative of how these two teams match up whatsoever. And also, this is a game in which you really needed him. Like, you really needed a big. You couldn't afford to lose him against Cleveland. And we can preview that game coming up. But you look at this, from 1,000-mile view, Dallas on Friday, they don't have, they don't have Lively. They don't have Luka. They're a really beat up team that just lost to the Pelicans. That's a possible win. I will say I would not just Sharpie that win in there. I know that a lot of you are doing that right now. A lot of you are looking at this and saying, well, they're going to go 3-1 or 2-1. I wouldn't do that. It's a second night of a back-to-back. The Thunder are 7-0 in second nights of a back-to-back, but it is a second night of a back-to-back with travel. And you've got to play a team where J-Dub is your best center, and you're going to have Kenrich and J-Will out there as well. It's going to be tough to win that game, even though Dallas is in disarray. That being said, that's about as best of an outcome as you can ask for, to go Cleveland, Dallas, Brooklyn, Utah, Dallas, Portland with this injury. That takes you up through next Sunday. So for an injury that's set to be reevaluated in 1 week, that's a pretty lofty schedule in the next week plus 4 days or whatever. Then after that, though, you got at Golden State versus Sacramento versus Milwaukee, Phoenix, Toronto, Memphis, New Orleans, Miami, Minnesota, and then the All-Star break. I don't think it'll be that long, right? It'll be somewhere in between the Utah game, which is, of course, the complete earliest, which I don't see happening. The complete earliest, that'd be the same day of the reevaluation, that Utah game, and the All-Star break. I would put it somewhere like, maybe Sunday in Portland, where you're looking at this schedule and you're saying, well, hopefully you can get Brooklyn, you can get Utah, hopefully you can get Dallas, who still will be banged up at that time on the 23rd, and then ease them back in against Portland, head to Golden State, and now you're rolling again with a healthy roster. But the biggest detractor will be the game against Cleveland tonight. Like, this game against Cleveland completely changes, and it goes from must watch to don't watch. I mean, if you're somebody who gets really just viciously upset with every passing Thunder game, and your life cannot be whole until the Thunder play good basketball, I don't know what to tell you. This is not going to be a good game. Like, if the Thunder somehow win this game, it would take their best possible game and then some. And we'll talk about the breaks that they need coming up. But first, I want to say right now, our good friends over at FanDuel, go check out FanDuel right now, because from upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to bet on live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. You can visit them right now, FanDuel.com, to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make the postseason special with unforgettable memories at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And if you only like the NBA, that's perfectly fine, because right now you can bet on this Thunder Cavs game. The line should be moving dramatically, but if you're listening to this the second it comes out, the Thunder are still 2.5-point favorites. You can go make a lot of money by throwing some shekels down on the Cleveland Cavaliers. You can go do that at FanDuel.com right now. Also, want to say right now, but our good friends over at Skims, go check out Skims today, because I found out that Skims is making underwear for men, and I was very intrigued. So I had to go test out their quality, and I gave it a try. And let me tell you, Skims lives up to the hype. I've always, had the issue with, like, the boxers, the briefs, the cotton, the silk. Which one do you want to go with? Skims has all those selections, but they all are the apex of each selection. So whatever you like, you'll have the very best version of them at Skims. They're so comfortable, they're breathable, flexible, they go with you. It's really good stuff with Skims, so go check it out today. I personally love the Skims boxer briefs. I'm hooked on them. It really will help you, whether you're running errands or doing physical activity, whatever you're doing. It has this lightweight material that feels amazing. It's like you're wearing nothing at all, hence Skims. Go check it out today and shop Skims for men at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. And at the Skims stores even. And let them know we sent you when you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. So go there right now to skims.com/LockedOnNBA. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. So we've talked about the Hartenstein injury. He's out for at least a week. It could be exactly a week. It could be more than a week. We don't know. What we do know is he's not available against Cleveland. So yeah, the Thunder should lose this game. And expecting anything other than a loss, I think is silly. I think that's the most homerism thing you could ever do. Now, is that to say the Thunder have 0% chance of winning? No, the ball will get tipped in the air, and then there you will be, watching the shooting stars play, and then however the song goes. Shai could have 40-50, and he'd need to do that for the Thunder to win. Jalen Williams could have 30 plus, and he'd need to do that for the Thunder to be able to win. The biggest key, though, is going to be the Cavs perimeter players, because you've left yourself zero room for error. When the counter to Mobley and Allen is now J-Dub, J-Will, Kenrich, and Caruso, when that's your counter to Mobley and Allen, they will get whatever they want to inside. And I trust wholeheartedly that this Thunder team will compete. I trust wholeheartedly that this Thunder team will make life difficult as they can make it. And I trust wholeheartedly that the home court advantage will help the Thunder. All those things can be true while also acknowledging it's not enough. It's not enough to deter Mobley and Allen, barring something unforeseen like them shooting themselves in the foot, blowing layups, not taking the game as seriously and as locked in as they need to take it. So just heading into this game on paper, you're looking at it from an aspect of the Cavs will own the paint. The Cavs will get whatever they want down low. The flip side is, though, you have Lou Dort, you have Alex Caruso, you have Cason Wallace, you have SGA, who's a really good defender. If you can stifle Garland and Mitchell and limit the damage to, name your score. Name your score, Allen and Mobley. These two guys are not going to go off. And then we're going to hang around. And at the end of the day, SGA has the ball in his hands and you're down 3, you're down 2, or maybe you're clinging to a 1-point lead, and Shai does MVP stuff. And then that's how you get the win. But you see how that path to victory is incredibly difficult. It's always going to be difficult. You're playing a title contending team, but now you're doing so with both hands tied behind your back. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care about the records. I don't care about the stats. I don't care about anything. Cleveland fans, if they lose this game, should be irate. And Thunder fans, if they win this game, should be elated. Absolutely elated. Because for the Thunder to win this game, it will take SGA putting a final stamp on his MVP case to where we're not even discussing MVP anymore. If he somehow drags his team to a win over Cleveland tonight, that at worst is only missing Ty Jerome, while he is missing Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, AJ Mitchell, like 3 massive rotational pieces, of course, 2 starting level players. If he's missing that and he wins this game, that goes a massive way in his MVP case, because it will take an MVP game. It will take a 40+ point night game for that to unfold. So that being said, you're looking at the stretch coming up without Hartenstein, and you're saying that Thursday's a loss, rightfully so, if you're going to have to try to pick this game out on paper. Next day against Dallas, again, I'm not going to Sharpie the win in, but you should be able to win that game. You should go 8-0 on second nights of a back-to-back. And then Brooklyn, it's a win. The Thunder would have to do a lot of things wrong to lose to Brooklyn. Utah has already checked out. They're looking at Cooper Flag highlights. That's a win. So at the 1 week mark, you've managed a stretch of 3-1 basketball, if everything goes right. Then you play Dallas second night of a back-to-back at home, though. So it's a home back-to-back. We'll have to see where Dallas is at injury-wise. Like they've had Kyrie in and out. They have Luka hurt, but that's around the time he might be able to come back. Who knows? But you still have a chance at that Dallas game, and you have a chance to have Hartenstein back, but that's after the 1 week mark. So long term, this doesn't mean anything to me. Short term, yes, it makes today's game pretty much useless. I'm still going to go watch it. You're going to watch it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to cover it. The Thunder still could win, but it's not going to give us anything that we can extract, right? It's either going to be a valiant, scrappy effort where we're on here praising the team's grit, right? Or it's going to give us a lopsided Cavs win where we're on here, lamenting and bemoaning the Thunder's absences. I can tell you how the postgame show is going to go right this second. That's the 2 routes. Either the Thunder have fought their way to a close game, or they've lost a lopsided battle, and you explain both of them the same way. It comes down to injuries. If somehow the Thunder do win this game, then again, it should be irate anger in Cleveland and elation in Oklahoma City. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Past that, though, this is a pretty manageable stretch of the schedule to be losing two bigs. I want to add in a different layer of this too. The All-Star voting is heating up. You should get the third fan returns today. I would not expect anything to change from a Thunder standpoint. I would expect Shai at 1, J-Dub at 7. Shai being, of course, guard number 1, Western Conference guard. 7 for J-Dub being 7th place in the West front court. However, as these conversations heat up and the debates heat up of who should go to the All-Star game, are the Thunder really going to have just 2 All-Stars whenever they're this good, or just 1 All-Star when they're this good? Can they really not find a second All-Star? J-Dub is still viewed nationally as a borderline All-Star guy, and we don't really know if he's going to get put in or not. His best stretch of basketball did come when the Thunder needed it the most. Like this season, I think has been overly criticized from Jalen Williams. Perhaps I'm a part of that. I think that Jalen Williams has been good this season for his 3rd year. He's been elite defensively. I think that there's been some offensive things that you want to see him improve on. But overall, it's still been a good offensive season for him, even though it's not perfect. But his best basketball came after the Thunder lost Chet. And of course, they were already without Hartenstein. And so he was the center. He was literally playing center. And you look at that stretch for him, and it started out first game without Chet, that he started 28 points. Second game, 31 points, right? Third game, 14 points, and then 27 points. Like this guy was a different beast whenever he was playing center. There are some players that are like this, that just rise to the occasion. And we've pointed out some things that while the Hartenstein J-Dub 2-man game is working out for Hartenstein because it's leading to these lobs and leading to J-Dub being able to make simple reads and feed him, it is sort of hurting Jalen Williams in terms of spacing in the mid-range and spacing toward the paint. And perhaps this opens up some things for him offensively. And we know defensively he's up to task. Like he's going to fight and claw and give you elite production defensively, despite literally guarding 1 through 5. We say 1 through 5 as like a blanketed term and a sort of a buzzword of sorts. But J-Dub is like a guy who can legitimately do it. He can really thrive. And I would say, if you want to get technical, he's more of a 1 through 4 defender, and he can defend a 5 in a pinch. But it's a tough sell to not go ahead and give him the 5 whenever he was literally the starting center for 5 games, playing 33 minutes a night and having to bang down low. The Thunder do send a ton of help in the paint, and that really does, of course, help J-Dub. But in this game, they don't have necessarily that same luxury because you have 2 Cleveland bigs. But just overall, what if you see J-Dub have that same stretch here? Because it will be a similar 5-game or so streak where J-Dub has to play center. It could be 3, it could be 5, somewhere in that mix, if everything goes according to plan with this 1-week reevaluation. And in that stretch this season, J-Dub averaged 25 points per game, 7 boards per game, 5 assists per game, 2.8 steals per game, and a block per game, all while shooting 54% from the floor, 34% from 3, and 100% at the free throw line, which he's getting to the line a lot more in these last couple of games. It's been 7, 4, 8, 6, his free throw attempts over these last few games. So you could see the best version of J-Dub. That should give you a glimmer of hope, perhaps not against Cleveland, but moving forward. So we'll see where they all shake out at the very end of this stretch, and where Hartenstein ends up coming back. So to recap, Hartenstein out at least a week. That's when he's going to get reevaluated. I've been more on the kind of cautious side, but technically speaking, the reevaluation could go extremely well, and he's right back on the court in a week. It could linger a few days, whatever it could be. We've seen both cases. We've seen a case where a player comes back right away. We've seen the case on J-Will where he got reevaluated and it wasn't quite where they wanted it to be, and it lasted longer. We just do not know. So don't let anyone talking like a factual standpoint of like, oh yeah, he's for sure back on Wednesday against the Jazz. He could be, but we just don't know, especially with these type of injuries. So that's what I got for you on the Hartenstein news. Coming up, let's talk the mid-season point. But first, I want to say right now about our good friends over at Robinhood. Go check it out today, because with Robinhood Gold, you can enjoy the MVP treatment, the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on your retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, You also get 4% APY on your cash and non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national saving average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on your annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 per month for 1 year. From the first match, must keep funds in an IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings amount. Interest rates claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. I did mention in the ad break earlier that the Thunder are 2.5-point favorites as of recording this for this Cleveland game. I would expect that to very much change. You can really make some money here moving forward. If it does not change, but the Thunder are somehow favored. I would not read too much into that. I'm a big Vegas always knows guy, but I've already seen some chatter like, what do they know? They don't know anything dramatic. Chet's still rolled out. Hartenstein is out. Like, it's not anything like that. You do get points for being at home. And I will say, from tracking the FanDuel stuff, of course we do this partnership here with Locked On. And also we use them at Thunder on SI for our betting column that I do and for the previews that I do at Thunder on SI. They typically do not make the massive swing in the change until like 9 a.m.-ish. That's whenever they swing it fully for the day. So for the interim, you can make some good money. But like around 9 a.m., it should swing normally. If it doesn't swing by 12, then I'll start to be, tinfoil hat guy. What does Vegas know? That's when I'll start to get curious. Although, again, it's not going to be anything crazy. I just can't see anything crazy happening. Moving forward, though, we do have our mid-season grades. We've had some games pop up, of course, to where like we've been pushing it off. I did write this for Thunder on SI. So go to Thunder on SI, and you can find it there. I did December, and then I combined October, November. So I did this every single month on the website if you just want them instantly. Real quick, I'll just run through them, and then you can read the longer explanation. SGA, I gave him an A+. Jalen Williams, I gave him a B-. I think that the defense is truly elite. Remember, this is kind of based on December. So, you would have liked to see him be more relentless in his attack at the rim in December. At the time, I think he's turned that around a bit the last couple of weeks, but I gave him a B-. Lou Dort, I gave him a B+. I think that whenever you factor in his numbers of 9 points a game, 4 rebounds a game, 1 assist per game while shooting 36, 37, 66 shooting splits, when you factor in that he had mallet finger, that's pretty good shooting splits for Lou Dort. Obviously, the field goal stuff's not good, but like he doesn't take field goals hardly. His field goal is going to be his 3-point percentage, and his 3-point percentage was 37. For being injured on his shooting hand, that's really, really good. I gave Hartenstein an A+. This was the first time that we graded Hartenstein. I did not grade him on that November stretch of games for the November-October article. This time I gave him an A+. He averaged a double-double last month. He was spectacular. You know all about him. I did give Isaiah Joe a C-, and I think that really, to this point, he has played at an average level. If he turns his shooting around, that would be one thing. An encouraging mark on Isaiah Joe's shooting. He's still shooting 48% on unguarded catch and shoot threes. Perhaps that they can find him more in that way. But as of right now, his 3-point shot is turning around. It hasn't turned around fully. I'd still give him a C+, B- as of this point. I did give Caruso a B. He's only played 1 game in this month, so we won't change that, but I'd give him an A for this month as of yet. Cason Wallace, a B+. I really like how they're using him as a ball handler at times. I wish that he would take that and turn the corner and get deeper into the paint more than settle for floaters. Although the floater has been fine, I just think that you can get more out of him going deeper to the basket, both as a passing standpoint to open up passing lanes and as an ability to finish at the rim. And the 3-point shot has continued to improve. I mean, it's even better than it was at the end of December. Like right now, you go look at his last 12 games, he's shooting 40% from 3. That's massive. Wiggins got a C+. I'd bump that up to a B-, B even for Wiggins. He literally saved the game against New York. He's been awesome on a heater these last 2 weeks. His January grade will be much higher than this. AJ Mitchell got an A plus. I think relative to expectations, he's been the biggest success story. Like he's been the biggest guy that you just cannot pick apart. Like in the day and age where all we want to do is be negative, all we want to do is pick apart these games. There's nothing to pick apart for AJ. What he's giving you is exceeding anything you would have ever imagined. And of course, now he's hurt, so he won't be graded this go around. Kenrich, I did give him an A plus. He's playing the best basketball of his career. 60, 51, 100% splits at this time. And he's playing at that level that you saw whenever teams wanted to give a first round pick for him during the tanking years. Like that's how valuable he's been as a veteran role player for this team. J. Will didn't get a grade, didn't play enough. Dylan Jones got a B minus. You can go read why. Usman Jang, B minus. You can go read why. And then I did not grade Chet, Flagler, Dukas, Carlson, or Topic. Obviously, those guys were all hurt for the whole month, and Carlson's sake didn't play in the month. But you can go check out the full story on Thunder on SI. And until next time, whenever we're going to recap this game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, win or lose, which I obviously don't think that they're going to win, but they could. And if they do, what a time that would be. Be good and be good to one another.